Oh my gosh, is AI getting better at seeing things than it has in the past, or what? Stay tuned, I'll show you.
Rossibytes.
So it seems like every day of the week, there's some new amazing AI advancement that's taken place. Now, to date, the ability for AI to quote-unquote see things has been kind of rudimentary and not really that great for a lot of different applications. Yes, there are some applications that people use, like Photoshop, for example, that has been able to go in and actually identify areas of images that you're looking to manipulate. But what I'm about to show you now is kind of taking it to a whole new level. Meta, who is the parent company of Facebook, which I really do not like promoting either of those companies, to be totally honest with you, just released their Segment Anything model. Now, this model is amazing, and I'm going to show you some demos of how this thing actually works. But if we come over to this article that I came across, it kind of gives us an overview of what this is all about. But basically, what they've done is they've created an AI model that is able to determine what pixels in a particular image belong to specific objects. So, for example, if there is an arm on the side of a person's body, it would actually know that that arm also goes along with a torso, and that torso goes along with a body. So it's able to actually determine intelligently in an image all of those different pieces as being part of a singular object or multiple objects, which I'm going to show you some examples in a minute. So if we come over to the website for the Segment Anything model, you'll see here that they have a GitHub link. So not only is this available to the public, they've actually open sourced the code so that you can actually start looking at and using the code for your own applications. That's pretty crazy. But if we come back over here and just scroll through the site real quick, we'll see that it's giving us some quick overview sections of what this is about. You can see that they're selecting out that dog. Now we're walking through a house kind of in a VR context. So if we scroll down, you'll see here you can prompt it with interactive points and boxes. So you can just click on part of an image and it'll actually select just that part out, and you can cut that out. And you can add additional pieces to it by clicking and adding those points. You can also use a drag box that'll actually select the object using a box instead of clicking on points. You can also analyze an image for all of the points within the image, and then it will actually give you a rendering of all of the objects in that picture separately. You can also do masking. So in this example here, you can see that this person's wearing a leather jacket, and when you do a mask, it actually separates the leather jacket out as an individual masked object that you could do something with from the person that's wearing it. If we scroll down here too, it talks about the fact that we'll be able to integrate this with other systems. So just picture, for example, you're wearing a VR headset or you're doing an augmented reality type of an experiment, and you're able to look at something, and based on where you're gazing, it actually will select that object. Or, for example, here, you can come into a picture and you can do a text prompt. For example, they're doing cat, and it will just identify all of the cats that are in an image. I mean, that's crazy. And in this example here, they're talking about the ability to take a two-dimensional image and then lift it to be a 3D image. So you can see that this is the image that they're starting with, and this is what it ends up being. And so you could imagine having an object that you take a picture of, and you're able to basically use that in a virtual context, like in a world, for example, in a game. So what we're going to do is I could go through this page and show you all this crazy stuff, but I'm just going to go to the demo link here, and they give you a bunch of different images that you can experiment with that they've provided. Now, sometimes I get a little hesitant thinking, oh, these images have been carefully curated, so of course they're going to work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually choose to upload an image because they let you use this for free. And what I'll do first is I'll just pick, for example, a shoes shopping, because I see this as potentially being a good option for e-commerce platforms. So for example, let's say you want to create shoppable imagery using AI instead of having to go in and identify all of the different elements within a picture. I would imagine that you could use something like this to identify each of those little objects that exist within an image. So here you can see we have an image where we're in a shoe store, woman's looking at some shoes. Right off the bat, you have the hover and click. So you can basically come over to the picture and you can hover on different elements within that picture. So you can see, for example, I can hover on just the woman. I could hover on this red shoe and it selects the red shoe for me. I could come over to this tan colored shoe and it will select that shoe for me. Now what I can do here is I can select this and then you'll see that it's basically highlighting that out. What I can do now is I can say cut out object. And you'll see what it did is it actually put the shoe as a separate object from this picture in a library of images that I could potentially use to do something with. Okay, so now let's say, for example, I want to select the woman in the picture. And then I want to select multi-mask. What this will do is it'll actually create a mask where you can see it's actually pulling out just the woman, and you can see the outline where she was holding the shoe, but it's separating out the woman as a separate object, but it's also then giving you a masked layer of the outfit she's wearing. So think of it in an e-commerce context where you want to say you're selling this particular top. This would give you the ability to identify and target that as being the shoppable piece of product that's in this particular image. So, I mean, that's just crazy. It's crazy to me. So let's do a different picture here. And in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do grocery shopping. We got a lot more going on in this picture than we did in the last picture. But again, what I'm trying to get at here is the ability, what I'm envisioning as the abilities that you could use this for example, an e-commerce context. So here we have a store, we have a woman shopping, we have a gentleman back here, we have an American flag back here. And again, you can hover over particular objects, or you can actually use a box. So let's say I want to use the box, and I want to, for example, highlight out maybe this plastic bag. So I can just drag a box like that, and now it's selected that plastic bag spool, if you will. And then if I want, I can cut that object out as well. And then that will add it to my cutouts library. Now let's say I want to take a look at everything that's in this image. So I can just click on everything, and it will actually look at all of the points within the image. And you can see it actually doing that on the screen here. It's plotting out all the points. And then using that ability to identify objects within the image and all of the pieces of the objects that belong to each other, you'll see that it's literally starting to outline and highlight every single element in this picture as its own object. So you can see we have the plastic bag spool here. We have all of these squash separately. We have this woman, her face is separate, the hair is separate, the shirt is separate, the pants are separate. We have this gentleman back here. You can see the flag is all highlighted. Like literally, it's identified all of the objects that are in this particular image. So I was like, this is pretty cool, but I'm curious how good it can get at detail with regards to this selection of everything. So what we're going to do is upload, I picked a trickier one here, books. And what's really amazing is that this is all being done on the fly in my browser, and it's just doing it. So here you can see we have a bookstore, and the shelves are filled with books. And so the same functionality is available, but what I wanted to do is see what the everything option looked like when I selected everything, because there's a lot of detail here. And you can see that it's literally gone and put a box around pretty much every book that it's identifying as being a book Obviously back here, it's done like a group of books. Same thing here, same thing here. But like right up close, you can see book, 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 book. Sound like a chicken. It's just amazing to me that this ability is being made available for free, and that it's been open sourced so that people can start using it in really creative and unique ways. Now, the data set and the model itself, I was reading here, they used over 11 million licensed and privacy-preserving images to collect mask data. And the data set itself includes more than 1.1 billion segmentation masks on those 11 million images. I mean, that's huge. And you can see here kind of like a high-level architecture flow of how this works. You upload your image, it goes through an image encoding process, then it finds embeddings within the image, and then it looks for the different prompts. And the prompts could be like the clicking on a particular part of the image that I showed in the demo, or using a box to put around something, or selecting to create a mask. And then the prompts themselves get encoded, and then the whole thing goes through a decoding process, and then you end up with the final mask that is provided by the model. So, like I said, I see a lot of possibilities for something like this. I'm interested to know how you see this being usable. Obviously, even outside of e-commerce, this could also be huge with like medical stuff. I could imagine uploading, for example, medical imagery like scans, and being able to go in and identify individual pieces. Now, obviously, their software, MRI software, does that already, but it would be really cool for like educational purposes. And it's kind of taking things to a whole new level where now the AI is actually able to decipher what the individual down to the detail components of an image are, and which of those components actually make up actual objects, like an entire person, for example. So let me know what you think. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did enjoy this, please make sure to click like and subscribe, and I'll continue creating content like this in the future. Thank you, and have a great day.
Rossibytes.